When I started with the web development, I remember this overwhelming feeling after starting to gain information about new tech stacks, more modern tech stacks, and even more modern tech stacks. I did it in the pace I could not even process the information. Whenever I started to learn something, before I dug into it, I realized that the knowledge I have just consumed is already obsolete. It appears it's a more or less common feeling in the IT world, well described in the God Tier Developer Roadmap, where the author presents the programming skills iceberg. Even if you will skip most of it and have already decided that you want to work with web development solely in Ruby, successfully narrowing down the number of skills you need in order to make money as a programmer, you still need to learn a lot. Some of the skills you would need are Ruby, CSS, HTML, SQL, JavaScript, and more. Even with technology like HTMX or Hotwire, limiting your JS requirements to the bare minimum, you cannot avoid writing HTML, right? Well, not right actually. Different people started to address this issue of web development being too complicated. Tools like HTMX and Hotwire allow you to skip writing JavaScript and work only with HTML documents being sent to the server and new documents being sent back. Simpler stack and fewer developers needed, meaning easier to recruit. But there is this crazy guy, in a good way of course, Joel Draper, who decided to put the bar to the next level. If we can skip JS, why not to skip HTML completely? He came up with Phlex, a view framework allowing you to write all your views and templates entirely in Ruby classes. Before I go further, make sure you consider sponsoring Joel's work, as this thing is amazing and he does it all in open source, so we can all make our lives better for free. You may ask, why would we even consider using Phlex? We have views in Rise, we have views in Hanami, and we all know HTML, right? First of all, it's framework agnostic. Hanami and Rise are not the only Ruby frameworks out there, and sometimes for smaller applications, you will not have a view layer included out of the box. You can even skip the framework completely. Phlex is great because you can include it in anything, the same as Hanami View. Writing framework agnostic libraries and solutions is exactly the approach we promote in Hanami Mastery. And even in Hanami, you can just replace the default view layer, including Phlex instead. Then it's simple to use. You just have one method named template and HTML tags as Ruby methods you can use within. No magic, no overhead. You can just start and write. Phlex is also easy to test. Because you have your objects all Ruby written, you can unit test them, all without a hassle. Finally, it's thread safe. This seems as a standard now, I guess, but worth mentioning in the world of multi-thread applications, distributed systems, and who knows what else. There is no better way to work with Phlex in Ruby than starting with the handbook guide. But in this episode, I will show you how to make it work with Hanami 2.x, because why not? Hanami 2.1 has an amazing built-in view layer already in place, with a dedicated standalone gem powered by DriveView as a base. And I have presented it more on the episode 46, but following Hanami philosophy of keeping things flexible, you can remove it easily if you don't want to use it, or if you want to experiment with other solutions. The goal for this episode is to make views work similar to how we had things running in episode 46 about the contract form. If you haven't watched that, it includes the top navigation, home page, and contact page, rendering the form to be submitted. All that with Bulma framework being integrated. I may leave the actual form page to you though, focusing on explaining the first parts. So let me start then. To start with Phlex, as usual, we will need to add it to the gem file. After installing it, let's replace the main view in the application with the new engine. It's super simple, just require Phlex and make my main view inherited from the Phlex HTML. Now, because I work on the existing project, let me clean up a few things. In the main slice, view configuration object, I have a templates path defined. I can remove that. Then in the contact view, I can comment out the content just for now. Having that, let's revisit the home show view. Usually what you would need is a separate template file written in ERB or Slim or any other templating language that allows you to inject Ruby code into the HTML and dynamically translate it into the actual HTML later on. With Phlex, you will need only a template method to be added in a view class, and then you can define your content totally in Ruby. Let me paste here a hello world sort of thing, copying from the Phlex documentation. It is supposed to render a nice welcome message, a bolded string underneath, followed by a paragraph. However, to render it well, I need to yet call this view. So let me visit my action file. As you can see, I only need to instantiate the view class here and assign it to a body. And I think that's all. Let's check what will happen after running the server and visiting the browser. You can see that the content had been properly interpreted and rendered as HTML, which is great. However, there is no styling applied. Let me fix that by adding the layout. I will create a new file named application layout RP, and inside I use exactly the same template method as in the actual view. Layouts in Phlex are nothing more than a view that yields another inside. So let me prove it. First of all, I will add a doc type and then call the HTML method, passing head and body inside. In the body, I will yield whatever will use this layout in the future. Then in the head block, I'm going to add a style sheet link, loading Bulma from the CDN. If this is too fast, I'm sorry. I'm kind of speeding through the Bulma itself because I already covered it in 2 of my previous episodes. Check them out if you want to learn more about this amazing CSS framework. For now, let me switch to the view file and use my newly created layout. To do this, I just need to call the render method and instantiate my application layout, passing the content of my view as a block to the new method. It will be all yielded within the body, applying anything defined in the layout as you might expect. With this, visiting the browser results with adjusted styling of my website, showing that Bulma had been properly applied. Isn't that great? Yes, I know you still need to somewhat know the HTML tags. Phlex does not eliminate this completely, but it allows you to write your views completely in pure Ruby, leveraging all the benefits, including the easiness of testing. Let me jump into the more complex example though. I want to add a navigation to my layout, as I had in my previous episode. For this, let me copy the HTML I had before and adjust to the Ruby syntax. All you see seems to be pretty intuitive. We call the HTML tag as method, passing the attributes into the brackets and opening the block to place elements inside. I'm wrapping my whole content with the container div, and in the navbar, I will have 2 items for the home page and the contact page. Now, worried about the copyright of Joel to his code snippets, let's change the rendering output to something more representative and unique. I will add the Bulma class to indicate this HTML tag is an h1 title header and change the content to a random string. Yes, it's totally random, and if you don't believe me, sorry, it's recorded and I cannot change it again. Then below, I'm going to add exactly the same button I have in episode 46 and wrap it in the parent div so we can integrate this with HTMX later on. The result you can see on the page. You can integrate HTMX or any other JavaScript library the same way I integrated Bulma, but I won't do it now. Instead, I will leave it as a homework for you. Yep, love you too. Let me know in the comments if you managed to pull this together, and don't forget to send some appreciation to Joel. He does a great job going against the flow of the mainstream approach. I love that tools like Phlex appear in the Ruby ecosystem, and I will definitely promote more of such. Pushing boundaries is important to keep innovation appearing in the community, and I love those fresh examples of new approaches to the old problems. That's all I have for today. If you like this video, hit a thumbs up, and if you want to see more content in this fashion, subscribe to my YouTube channel or hit the notification bell. You can also subscribe to the newsletter and follow me on Twitter. Now I want to especially get to thank my recent sponsors, Lucian Ginda, Maxim Gurin and Probly.com, and all the Hanami Mastery Pro subscribers for supporting this project. I really appreciate it. And if you think what we do is useful, check out our GitHub sponsors page or join Hanami Mastery Pro for an access to more learning resources and our private Discord server. This way you can help us build this initiative and other ideas around to bring Ruby knowledge to the wider audience. Thank you all and see you to the next one.